Alright guys, I'll make you a little video here of all the stuff on your test tomorrow. So here we go. The first one, remember if you have an exponent outside of a parentheses, it goes for everything inside. So I'm going to do 3 to the negative 3 power. When you raise a power to a power, you multiply the exponent. So it'd be 12, this would be y6. Remember, we do not leave any negative exponents in our answers, so the ones that are negative we're going to flip to the bottom. I'm going to flip 3 cubed to the bottom. 3 cubed is 27. The x12 goes to the bottom, the y to the 6 stays on top. And this is number 1. Number 2, I'm going to slide this over just a little bit. Same deal here. 2 and 16, 2 goes into 16 8 times, it stays down there. And remember with the x and the y's, the x and the y is going to remain in the part of the fraction where the bigger one is. So the bigger x is in the denominator, so I'm going to subtract 3 minus negative 6 and get 9. The bigger y is in the numerator. I'm subtracting 5 minus negative 2 and getting 7. That's all there is. Number 3, multiplication. If I were you, I would multiply first. When you multiply, you add the exponent, so I get that on my numerator. My denominator, I get this right here. And once you do that, you're right back to where you were on number 2. 3 is going to remain on the denominator. The bigger x is in the numerator. Just subtract 2 minus negative 4 is 6. Take your y, subtract 2 minus negative 1 is 3. And that's it. Number 4 is just straight up multiplication. When you multiply, you add exponents. 3 plus 6 is 9. Negative 2 and negative 1 is negative 3. And don't forget, do not leave a negative exponent in your answer. The x gets flipped to the bottom so that it is not negative anymore. And that's it. This part says use synthetic substitution to find the value. If it's just substitution, they tell you what to plug in, the negative 2, that's what goes in your box. Just put negative 2 in there. Write your coefficients. Be careful when you write your coefficients. Make sure you don't need any zeros up there. Bring the first number down. Every time you bring a number down, multiply by what's in the box. It'd be negative 16. That's negative 4. Multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add, and whatever your remainder is there at the end, that's your answer. So I'm going to say f of negative 2 is 75. And that's it. Let's do one more of those. Number 6. Number 6 is a little bit different because you are going to need some zeros. We have x to the 4th. We have 0. We have no x cubes. We have no x squareds. We do have an x and a minus 20. Start off the same way. Bring the 1 down. Multiply was in the box. Add, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply. Let's see, it's 240. I'm pretty sure it's 268. Add those up to 48. So f of 4, if you were to plug 4 in that function, you would get 248. All right, couple, we got to graph them and tell degree and leading coefficient and behavior. First one, the degree is 4. Remember, degree means the biggest exponent. Leading coefficient is the coefficient in front of the leading degree, which is 1. In behavior, because it's even and positive, it's going to go up on both ends. So as x goes to the left, the graph is going to go up. And as x goes to the right, the graph is going to go up. So what I do is I go to my table and get a few points here. One point I saw on my table was 0, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 6 is a point in there. Negative 2, 2 is a point in there. 1, 2 is a point. 2, 2 is a point. 3, 42, so 3 is way up there. And negative 342 is way up there. So it looks to me like it's doing something like this. Oh. Something like to this extent here. And you can always hit graph on your calculator and kind of check out your graph. Mine looks pretty close. All right, second one is degree is also 4. However, it's negative, so the leading coefficient is negative 1. And because it's negative, as x goes to the left, the graph is going to go, sorry about that, the graph is going to go down. And also as it goes to the right, the graph is going to go down. Both ends going down because it's negative and even. Now I'm going to punch that in real quick. I punched it in and find some points for my graph. One point is 0, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there. One point is negative 1, 3. Another point is 1, 5. just there. 2, 9, way up here. 3, -1, down here. 4, all the way down to -6, 7. Let's go way down there. -2 is -31, which is also way down here. So the graph's going to do something such like this. It looks like, let's see here. Come up, down, up, something to that effect. Just going to hit graph on my calculator, make sure I'm close, pretty close right there. And that's it. All right, simplify. Number 9, just subtract straight across, or you could do it this way, probably better off. Usually if I see subtraction, one good move to do is distribute the minus sign. So just change all the signs in your second parentheses, make them the opposite, and then just add what you can. I've got an x squared and a 4x squared, that's 5x squared. Got a -3x and -8x, that's -11x, and got a 5 and a -9, that's -4. All there is to it. Second one's just addition with addition. I'm not going to take the time to do that. I'm just going to add what I can, and when I just combine right there, I can't do. I have a -6y4 and a 5y4, which is -y to the 4th. I have a -6y cubed in the second parentheses. I have a 3y squared in this one, and I have a -6y and a +4y, which is -2y in that one. And number 11, I'm going to take the first two first, which are FOIL, and I'm going to say first, outer, inner, last. Still have the x plus 3. Now I'm not going to do the x plus 3. I'm going to add the two terms in the middle here first, combine what I can. Then I'm going to multiply the x squared minus 6x minus 7 times the x plus 3. So I'm taking the x all the way through, make it x cubed minus 6x squared minus 7x. Then I'm taking the 3 through, 3x squared minus 18x minus 21. X cubed, combine your x squareds, minus 3x squared. Have 7x and -18x, that's -25x, and minus 21. And the last one, same deal here. I'm going to always take the small parentheses. I'm taking the 2a all the way through, which would be 4a cubed, 2a squared, and 6a. And I'm taking the -3 through, make it -6a squared minus 3a and plus 9. Then this I'm going to add what I can. So 4a cubed, -4a squared minus 9a plus 9 when I combine everything. Factor completely. First one is cubes. Don't forget we go small, big, cube root, square the first, multiply together, change the sign, square the second. That's all you do on that one. Second one, you have 4 terms. Anytime you have 4 terms, you're factor by grouping. So I'm going to group the first two together, factor out x squared. All right, and the second two, I'm going to take out a minus 16 and make that x minus 3. Remember, your parentheses must match. So if I take out the x minus 3 out of those two, that gives me x squared minus 16 left over, and I'd be done, except that x squared minus 16 is a difference of squares. Do not ever leave a difference of squares without factoring it. So I'm saying x plus 4, x minus 4. All right. Next one, have x squared plus 4, x squared minus 4. So leave that one. X squared minus 4 will be x plus 2, x minus 2. And there you go. Again, don't leave a difference of squares. That, two differences of squares in the same problem there. The next one, keep doing the same thing. It's a quadratic form, so I'm trying to think. I'm going to use x squared and x squared because I have x to the 4th. Factors of 12 that give me -1 would be minus 4 and plus 3. And again, I would be done, except again, there's a difference of squares. So break down that one, x plus 2, x minus 2. And I get an x squared plus 3. 2 more. On number 17, every time you start to factor, don't forget you're always looking for GCF. So I'm taking out a 4 and an x squared. That will leave x to the 4th minus 5x squared plus 6. And then factor what you have left over inside, which would be x squared minus 3 and x squared minus 2. Now this time you're good to leave it like that because those aren't differences of squares, because 3 and 2 do not have a square root. And the last one, also take out a 2 because that's a GCF. They'll leave 8x cubed minus 1. So I'm going to have 2x, small, big, sorry about that. Cube root, square the first one, multiply together, change sign, square the second one. There's the factor. Okay, next slide is just solve by factoring. So I'm gonna do the same stuff I just did, except now I gotta actually solve the equation. So this first one, if I factor, I'd have y squared minus 9 and y squared minus 5. So the difference of squares here for the 9, y plus 3, y minus 3. And here I have a y squared minus 5. So two of my answers are negative 3 and positive 3. Now the y squared minus 5 I'm going to bring over here to the side. Move the 5 to the other side. Take the square root and I'll get plus or minus the square root of 5. So that's the other two answers. So I get plus or minus 3 and plus or minus the square root of 5. Number 20. I'm going to take out the GCF, which in this case would be 4x. That would leave an x to the 4th minus 10x squared plus 9 equals 0. Factor some more. I would get x squared minus 9 and x squared minus 1. Now this time both of those are difference of squares. So keep right on going. X plus 3, x minus 3, x plus 1, x minus 1 equals 0. So I get 0, positive negative 3, positive negative 1. And number 21, with the 14x squared over, I have 2x to the 5th minus 14x cubed plus 24x equals 0. Take out the GCF, which is 2x. I get x to the 4th minus 7x squared plus 12 equals 0. Factor what you have in there. That would be x squared minus 4, and also x squared minus 3. Difference of squares again, x plus 2, x minus 2, and I still have that x squared minus 3. It's a lot of stuff. So I have these answers so far. X is 0, plus or minus 2, that comes from here. The x squared minus 3, I'm going to pull over here to the side. X squared minus 3 equals 0. Move this 3 over to the other side. Take the square root, you get plus or minus square root 3. So there are my 5 answers. And we got one more. 22. Factor out the GCF, which is x cubed. If you do that, that just leaves x plus 6. So you're already done factoring. You get a 0 because that's what makes the outside factor 0, and you get negative 6 because that's what makes the parentheses 0. All there is to do on that one. All right, 23 and 24, just make a list of the possible rational zeros. So you, on this one, because the first number is 1, that's all you got to worry about. 21 is 1, 3, 7, 21. So I get plus or minus 1 over 1, 3 over 1, 7 over 1, 21 over 1. That's all you got to do. On 24, you have a 9 first, which is going to make it a little more complicated. The factors of 4 are 1, 2, and 4. So I'm going to put, don't forget your plus or minus, all the factors of 1, 2, and 4 over 1. So I'm going 1 over 1, 2 over 1, 4 over 1, 1 over 3, 2 over 3, 4 over 3, and then 1 over 9, 2 over 9, 4 over 9. 25 and 26, divide by synthetic division. Negative 3 goes in the box, remember, the opposite of what's in there. Make sure, look at your coefficients, see if you need any zeros or not. This time I did not. Bring down the 2, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply. It's negative 16. So here's my final answer. Remember, my final answer is going to start 1 degree less than what I started with. It's going to be 2x squared minus 5x plus 7. And then the negative 16 is the remainder. All that's over x plus 3. 26. Put a 1 in the box. Got 4, 1, negative 3, 7. Bring down the 4, multiply by 1. 1 times 4 is 4. Add, multiply, add, multiply, add. So I get 4x squared plus 5x plus 2. Don't forget the 9 is your remainder. And there you go. Long division, our favorite. I'm going to put the x squared minus 3x plus 4 outside. And here's going to be the 5x to the 4th plus 2x cubed. I'm going to move the 9x way over here because I'm missing an x squared. You can put a 0 there if you want, and that may help you a little bit. So remember, always look at the first terms. X squared goes into x to the 4th. 5x squared times, that goes on top. So 5x squared times x squared is 5x to the 4th. Remember, multiplying by everything over here. Negative 15x cubed, and then plus 20x squared. Draw the line, change the signs. And what happens is those are gone. It leaves me with a 17x cubed minus 20x squared minus 9x. Now, I'm looking at this one, and the first one again, it needs a 17x. So I'm multiplying everything out there by 17x, so I get 17x cubed minus 51x squared, and then plus 68x. Numbers are getting big. Change signs. Boom, boom. That's gone. Get 31x squared minus 69. No, sorry about that. It's a 68. So that'd be 77x, and then bring down the 12. Then I'm looking, what does this x squared needs? It needs a 31. So I put the 31, which will give me 31x squared minus 93x, and then 124. Change the signs. And add them up. That's gone. So I get 16x and minus 112, which is huge. So my final answer is right here. 5x squared plus 17x plus 31 plus 16x minus 112 over x squared minus 3x plus 4. And that's that. All right, believe it or not, we get to do one more of those. Can't wait for that. So this was actually shorter, a little bit easier. So I got the x plus 1 out here. Inside, 3x cubed minus 4x squared minus 28x minus 16. X goes into 3x cubed. Remember, just look at the first one. 3x squared times is what it needs. So it gives me 3x cubed plus 3x squared. And I have minus minus. So that's gone. I have negative 7x squared minus 28x. What does x need to be negative 7x squared? It needs a negative 7x. So multiply through. Get negative 7x squared minus 7x. Change the signs, make that plus, make that plus. That's gone. Now I have negative 27x minus 16. So the x needs a negative 27. So I get negative 27x minus 27. Change your signs again. And that's gone. It gives you 11, which is your remainder. So your final answer, 3x squared minus 7x minus 27 plus 11 over x plus 1. Wow, worst two problems in the whole thing. Number 9, find all the zeros. First, I'm going to make a list here. So I'm going to say plus or minus 1 over 1, plus or minus 3 over 1, 1 over 2, 3 over 2, 1 over 4, 3 over 4. I'm putting all the factors of the last number over all the factors of the first number. 1 over 8, 3 over 8. Now I'm going to punch this in and see where it crosses the x-axis. It looked like it crossed at 1, so I'm going to put 1 in the box. 8, 6, negative 11, negative 3. See if 1 works. Bring down the 8, multiply. 14, multiply. Add. Yes, it does work. So I get 8x squared plus 14x plus 3. Now, a couple of choices. I can look at my picture up there on my graph on my calculator and see if I can find something else that works, or I can just take this, what I have right here, this 8x squared plus 14x plus 3, and just factor it. So I'm going to do slide, divide, slide, and factor it. So if I slide the 8, that gives me 24. So I'm trying to think of factors of 24. That would be 14, which is 12 and 2. Once you factor it, I'm going to divide by the same number as this. I'm dividing that by 8 and that by 8. And I can reduce both of those. 12 eighths is really 3 halves, and 2 eighths is really 1/4, which is really all I need right there. I know my zeros now. My zeros are, don't forget the 1. We found the 1 first. The other one is negative 3 halves from that parentheses, and the last one is negative 1/4. All those are in my list. Not too hard to find. Same thing on these last two. I'm going to punch it in. First of all, I guess I come in my list. This is going to be a big list. 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, 20, 1 half, 2 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves, 1/3, 2/3. I'm going to do it, put a little dot, dot, dot. That's going to go on and on and on. So I think I can find one just having that. So I'm going to punch this in my calculator. Okay, this one looks like 2 works. So I'm going to try the 2. Go 6, 13, negative 29, negative 52, and 20. Bring down to 6, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, boom. Okay, now I have four numbers. Because I have four numbers left down here, I cannot factor that yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find one more thing for my picture. Looks like it works. Also looks like -2 works. So I'm going to try that. 6, -12, 13, -26, -5, 10. It did. So I'm going to take those three numbers, the 6x squared plus 13x minus 5. And same deal, try to factor it, slide, divide, slide. So I'm moving the 6 over with the 5, make it 30. Factor that, that's going to be a 10 and a 3. No, it's not. Thought it was, but it's a minus sign, that messes me up. It's going to be a plus 15 and a minus 2. Now I'm going to divide by the 6. And again, both of those divide by 6. If you do 15 divided by 6, that's 5 halves. And 2 6 1/3, which is as far as you need to go because you just need the zeros. So I had the two zeros I found first were 2 and -2, and the box is over there. Then I found -5 halves and 1/3 from my two parentheses. All right, one more here. Finally done. So let's see here. Factors of 4 over factors of 10. 2 halves, 4 halves, 1/5. 2/5, 4/5, 4/10. We're good there. Okay, so again, I'm going to graph it, see where it crosses the x-axis. All right, looks like it crosses at 4. So I'm going to try the 4, 10, -43, 11, 4. 4 times 10 is 40. Add. That's -12. Add. That's -4. Boom. That leaves me 10x squared minus 3x minus 1. Same deal. Try to factor it. Move the 10. 1 times 10 is 10. Factor that. That's x minus 5, x plus 2. And again, divide by the 10. And both of them will divide. So we get x minus 1/2 and x plus 1/5. So my zeros are 4, and 1/2, and -1/5. And that's it. Hope that helped a little bit. Study hard. I'll be here early, and I'll be at school early tomorrow. Help you. If you have any questions, please come see me if you have any. And I'll see you then. Bye.